Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. So here is my episode 9 sort of, teaser breakdown. I want to talk about where they left off in episode 8, what they set up for episode 9, and also what we've just, what we know in general about episode 9 in part 2. I want to talk about what's been teased so far and then just give my thoughts on, where the story left off and where they can go in episode 9 and how that sets up part 2 of The Walking Dead, or the final season of The Walking Dead. Because, part 2 is going to be a very different, I think tonally it's going to feel very different. Part 1 felt very dark, I would say, but part 2 is not going to feel that dark. And I think that's why they went that route, to be honest. When you look back at part 1, it felt very dark. But when you think of all the Commonwealth scenes, it's not so dark, right? The Commonwealth stuff is very... it feels like The Good Place, right? Like that show, that comedy, the Good Place. Like it feels like a totally different type of show, and that's where the show is going in part 2, and most likely, or obviously, in part 3, right? It's gonna return more to the way The Walking Dead used to be in seasons 1 and 2 and so forth. And so I think part 1 wanted to get back to that darker element that the show used to have in season 4 and 5. I think, it was their last chance to really do it on the show. And so they went and did it. And I would say tonally, they definitely captured that feeling. There's a lot of really exciting parts about the Reaper storyline and the characters that travel to Meridian. But what I would say overall with that is I think that it got interrupted a lot. And if you were trying to recapture the magic of seasons 4 and 5, I think that the reason you didn't, in my opinion, is because you had so much other story of people in Alexandria and the Commonwealth that you had to keep cutting back to. So it didn't really feel like a roadshow, right? Every time we cut back to shots of Maggie and Negan or Daryl at Meridian, it kind of felt like this other type of story. Like if that was supposed to be the main story, it didn't feel like it, right? So in season 4 and 5, that was the main story, their trip to Terminus and what happened afterwards. So that's why it felt like this roadshow, this journey that they were on trying to survive. And it didn't quite match that or feel like that in the first part here, but still tonally, I really liked it, and I'm excited to see where we're going to go with the next part. So obviously, before we go any further, I do have to warn you that this will contain spoilers, obviously, for episode 8 of The Walking Dead. So if you haven't watched the part 1 finale yet, then definitely don't watch this. As well, I just wanted to update you guys on the podcast, because I know I've been getting some questions about that. But we're actually going to be recording it today, and that should be out either tonight or tomorrow morning for sure. The reason why it's been taking so long is because we're trying to really, the last 2 weeks or so, we've actually really just been trying to focus or find what the podcast is really going to be about, right? And we've been doing it now for about 3 or 4 months. And so we were like, hey, we kind of got into this whole rhythm with it. Now let's try and upgrade it, right? Let's try update the whole thing. Let's try to figure out where we can go now to make it that much better. And this way it feels much better, right? We wanted to update just the presentation of the podcast in general. Can we have different show elements of the podcast, right? Or different segments, I guess. And we've just been working on all that kind of stuff. And so that's why we took the break, because we were like, you know what? We might as well just get it right now. And so expect either tonight or tomorrow our reviews of episodes 6, 7, and 8. It's going to be a pretty big podcast, most likely focused just strictly on The Walking Dead, just because there's going to be a lot to talk about there. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't followed us on Spotify, the link for that is down below, as well as on YouTube. We're close to 5,000 subscribers. I think it would be so cool to hit that soon. But let's talk about episode 8 here. So, I guess the one question I have is Eldon gonna die, right? That is one question that we have here. And I actually have 6 points here that I wanted to make, and that one of them is Eldon. What's happening with this character right now? Obviously, the last time we saw him was in episode 3, and he was bleeding out. It looked really bad. And so, what's happening next for the character? Are the Reapers in any way connected? And honestly, I'm trying to see where this arc is going with the whole Reaper story, and it's very difficult to say where they're going in terms of what's happening with Eldon and all of that, just because it's is the Reaper arc ending in episode 9? I really believe it is. I thought it would end in 8. I mean, I guess we did wrap up some crucial elements to the Reaper arc, and now Leah's the leader of the Reapers. I mean, we're at a point now where we are definitely, the arc is going to be close to being over, but there could be some differences here. There could be some changes. It's very possible that the arc isn't wrapping up right away, and that maybe our group just escapes, goes back to Alexandria, and then the Reapers are still a big threat out there. And so they got to deal with that while also dealing with the Commonwealth. Like that is entirely possible. Maybe Leah's going to be the villain for part 2, and that this Reaper arc is like very far from over. And maybe Alden's disappearance, or I guess where they left him at the church, is actually going to still play a role, but it will play a role in part 2. Honestly, like that's where, just with everything here, it is very hard to pinpoint what is going on. All I know is that episode 9 is going to be a very big episode. That, like, with the cliffhanger they left us on here, episode 9 is going to be a very, very massive episode. It has to wrap up so much stuff in terms of like the stuff going on in Alexandria, right? With the storm, the Leah stuff, right? Like, does Leah turn good now? And some of the Commonwealth stuff too, with where they left off with Sebastian and Eugene, like that drama. They got a lot of stuff to wrap up before they go into, you know, I guess further down the line with that story, starting in episode 10 and further. And so obviously the big cliffhanger here was the big weapon cliffhanger, right? That Leah had. And what happens next? Obviously they're going to live. They're not going to die. The only character I can see dying really is Elijah, just because he's the only character there that doesn't have plot armor, right? Maggie and Negan aren't going to die. I guess Gabriel could die. I just don't see it yet. And Daryl obviously is not going to die. And so the only person that can really die here is Elijah. But I say at this point, you might as well keep him alive. Like, you want someone to be alive from Maggie's, you know, like Maggie's little journey that she had over the last couple of years, right? Like, her entire group died already besides Elijah. So you might as well keep him alive. But like, what? They're going to have this whole Meridian battle and then no one die? And I will say that is actually another disappointment that I do have of this first part, was that there were no big character deaths at all. You know, I look at the first part here, and it definitely, that part of it was underwhelming. And if I'm overall comparing the first 8 episodes to like previous like batches of 8, I prefer these 8 to, I mean, anything that we got in season 10. But all the stuff in season 9 was definitely better, right? Like episodes 1 to 8 in season 9, I think are way better than these episodes 1 to 8. Same with episodes 9 to 16 of season 9. That batch of 8 are so much better than what we got here in the first part of season 11. But I would say season 11 is still a little bit better than what we got in season 10, just because in season 10 I wasn't too big of a fan of some of the Whisper War stuff. Some cool things did happen, but I'm just that much more of a fan of where they went here in the first part. But I think that's why in part 2, they definitely got to step it up. And I mean, like, with where they're going, it depends on where they're going. Again, it depends on what happens with the Reaper arc. And that's the question I have for you guys. Does Leah turn good now? Because, like, at this point, I kind of see it as being impossible. Like, for her to just turn good and to side with Daryl now after what she did, that would just be a complete 180 from where the character is at. And I actually wouldn't like it because it wouldn't be in line with the character. Like, the character in episode 8 gives a speech kind of to Daryl where she's like, you know, you protect your family. Family is everything. I'm doing the same thing. And it does suck because obviously to Leah, the Reapers are her family. And that does suck because, I mean, obviously that's just the way it is. But I think that means that she won't be coming back from this. To be honest, I don't see her coming back from something like this unless maybe Daryl's about to die, because maybe Leah can't kill Daryl, right? But even then, that's still kind of out of nowhere. Like, they kind of set it up here that she's the villain. It would be insane for them to pull back away from that in episode 9. So unless the Reaper arc is going to be a prominent story in part 2, you know, maybe it ends in episode 14, 15. Leah, like, this is where she's at now. So there's no Leah coming back to Alexandria. All those predictions I had are completely thrown out the window. And that kind of leads into something else that I have on here, or on my notes here for episode 9, and that is Connie and Carol. That was obviously set up, right? That was set up for episode 9. It seems like For Blood, you know, episode 8 was definitely a part 1 of a 2-parter. And I think the Connie and Carol stuff, I think Connie wants to kind of air out everything that happened. And I think they want to sort of clear the air there so that when Daryl returns, they can more focus on just that, right? That reunion there between the two characters. And all the characters, if you think of every storyline, they're all everywhere right now, right? Like, you have Connie and Carol out there dealing with the storm and some of the walkers and stuff. And obviously they're going to be talking some stuff out. We didn't see any of that in episode 8. Aaron's out there as well, so there's all of that. There's also everyone trapped inside the house, right? Like, Judith and them are trapped, so they gotta deal with that. And then there's the whole, obviously, Reaper cliffhanger stuff. There's the stuff with Eldon. And then the Commonwealth storyline. That's a big one. The Commonwealth storyline, like, the next part in it is meeting Pamela Milton. right? And if you think of where they left off, Eugene is under arrest for punching Sebastian Milton. And, like Yumiko is about to meet with Pamela Milton. Everything's kind of a mess. It's all pointing to, we got to meet Pamela Milton. She's going to sort the stuff out. She's, everything's going to come down to her in the end. And so that's the obvious next move that they weren't ready to reveal yet because of everything that we got in 8. And when I look at 8, honestly, I kind of see it like I'm happy we didn't get that, because if they would have wrapped up the Reaper arc or gave us anything with that, then it would have felt way too rushed. It's just, maybe they could have cut out an episode or something like that in the first part here, had episode 8, episode 7, and then episode 9 be, but it depends. Like, honestly, the thing is, throughout this show's history, usually it's the mid-season finale would be episode 8. That's never usually been the big episode. Sometimes it would be, but sometimes that would end on a cliffhanger. It would be underwhelming because the mid-season premiere is going to be the big one, right? And that's sort of how it works. And sometimes, usually, if episode 8 is a big episode, episode 9, the mid-season premiere, usually is a bit more underwhelming. It's usually one of the two that's going to be underwhelming. And I always hear people complaining about episode 9, saying like, oh, that was such a boring premiere, like, the show's going downhill. Those comments are there all the time. Even after episode 8, everyone is saying, not everyone, but you have those people saying that the show's going downhill. And I'm like, holy man, I get it, you're disappointed. I'm also disappointed in a lot of stuff that they didn't get to, but they're going to get to it in episode 9. It just means that, sure, episode 8, right, part 1's finale wasn't the big episode. It's going to be part 2's premiere. That's going to be the bigger one. It was going to be one or the other. So like, I hate to have to wait until February. It's definitely, oh man, I that's going to suck. But you could also kind of see it from like a marketing standpoint too. If they gave us everything in episode 8, maybe there wouldn't be so much hype for part 2, but probably not. There still would be, because there's still all the Pamela Milton stuff. All I know is that I want to see the trailer for episode 9, because I want to see where they're going with it. And I think we're going to get the trailer, obviously, this year. My prediction is it's going to come out around the point where Fear the Walking Dead ends, or World Beyond. I think it's going to be around there. They're going to release a 30-second or maybe minute or 2-minute trailer for part 2. And that will tease what's coming out in February. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see as to when that comes out. But yeah, this is my thoughts on everything that was sort of teased and set up here for episode 9. So obviously, post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.